Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley. Appreciate everybody showing up for Big 12 Insiders. Man, it's that time, people. It is that time. Number one, I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm not 100%. I'm probably at 65, 70%, but I'm feeling a little bit better. But you know what? It is that time. College basketball, this time of college basketball, for me, other than the NFL playoffs and the college football playoffs, this is my favorite time of year. This might even be more exciting for me than the college football playoff, to be honest with you. I love March Madness. I love it. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about conference tournaments and why they're still important. And we're also going to pick the Big 12 tournament. I've got some thoughts on that, on who I think is going to win, and I'm going to pick the brackets, maybe some upsets, some places where you think some teams might win, may not. We'll go through all of that. We'll have a little bit of fun with that today. So I'm feeling, like I said, I'm feeling a little bit better. I appreciate you guys bearing with me while I try to fight this nasty sinus infection that just won't go away. But we'll get through it, man. So I appreciate you guys. So before we get into it, remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments, and as always, hit that notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. So without further ado, let's get into this a little bit. First things first, Big 12, the Big 12 tournament is a big deal. Now, I know there's some people that are new to the conference that don't like the fact that it's in Kansas City. Why is it in Kansas City? It needs to be in a place like Las Vegas or someplace like that. Well, first off, go to Kansas City first. Go there, go to the tournament, and then once you've done that, I think your entire just what you think about the tournament and where it should be and how it's done, that will change. That's number one. Just go before you say that it needs to leave. Number two, it's not leaving anytime soon. It's 2000. They re-upped it till 2031. So the Big 12 tournament is going to be in Kansas City, whether you, me, or anybody else likes it or not. It's not going anywhere anytime soon, so strap in. But I would say before your preconceived notions that it's not a good place, why is it in Kansas City? It's giving KU an unfair advantage. Ask Iowa State if it gives KU an unfair advantage. Go to an Iowa State game in the Big 12 tournament and tell me if KU has an unfair advantage. That's all that I would say to you. Look, I get it. It's further away from some people than what some people would like. I totally understand that. But the conference now, it goes all the way from West Virginia to BYU. It's all over the place. A central place to have the tournament makes sense. It makes sense. Don't get me wrong. Going to Las Vegas, hell, I'm going to Las Vegas next week for March Madness. So I totally understand having a tournament in Vegas, and it's fun. But the Big 12 is something different. You're part of it now. And only thing that I would tell you is go to Kansas City. And I think that will change, like I mentioned, your preconceived notions on it not being a good place to have a conference tournament. It is outstanding. The entire setup. And just so you know, it's built for fans. How the tournament is set up, where it's actually located, everything about it is all built for the fan experience. So before you say you don't like it, just go, and then you can have your opinions on where it should be after that. So that's just my thought on where the location of the Big 12 tournament. But, there's been some talk about why are conference championships even important anymore. And to me, that's insane. Anybody that doesn't believe that conference championships need to be around or that they're not important, that is literally insane, in my opinion. And here's the reason why. Look, I remember a time, and I'm old enough to remember conference championships not being the end-all be-all of whether you got into the tournament. And now that that has changed, that is part of March Madness. The conference tournaments in March Madness start now. You know, watching the games of these small conferences, mid-major conferences, the big-time conferences, winning that conference championship means something. Now, I know there's people out there that believe, hey, man, going through 2 months of a conference that and you winning it, that should equal you getting into the tournament. I don't know that I necessarily disagree with that, because having your conference tournament, you know, to decide who the winner who gets the automatic bid, and you go through 2 months of a conference season, I totally understand that argument. I get it. But what I would tell you is, if you're good enough to win your conference, you're probably good enough to go ahead and make the NCAA tournament as an at-large bid if you don't win. Now, that's something different from small schools. I understand you're a one-bid league and you don't end up winning it. Yeah, that stinks. We saw it last year. Indiana State, they won their league, had a great year, were high in the net, but they didn't win their conference tournament, and they did not go to the NCAA tournament. But that's March Madness, man. You know it going into it. It'd be one thing if they changed the parameters in the middle of it. You know, we've seen the Big 12 with these crazy tiebreakers in football, and they change things in the middle of it. No, you understand what it is. But to me, that's what makes March Madness March Madness. And it starts with the conference tournament. That's when it begins. We are in it right now. Right now it's March Madness. Eliminating that would be insane. Literally. You're going to tell me that all the excitement that gets brewed up for watching these conference championships, you're going to eliminate that and just say, well, we're just going to play out the regular season, you know, with 2 games where 2 teams are not going to the conference tournament or going to the NCAA tournament. That's going to be one of the games that's on the final weekend of your conference? For what? Come on, people. And we saw that last week. Just think of the teams that aren't going to make it from the Big 12. And I'm not going to go through any names, so I'm not going to disrespect anybody, but we know who they are. Think if that was the last weekend before the NCAA tournament. We had like 5 of those games, people. 5 of them. That's how you want to end it? No. How does that build excitement? That doesn't build any excitement for me. The conference tournament builds excitement for me. That is March Madness. Conference tournaments are almost just as much of March Madness as the NCAA tournament. Hell, you could say it's just as much, because I love watching it. I love watching those small schools. The games are at their campuses, and they win, and they storm the court. How many times have we seen a school that's never made the NCAA tournament win their conference tournament, and they get in? And they're just happy to be there. They know they more than likely don't have a chance to win a game. They're just happy to be there. We're going to take that away? Is that what we want to do? We want to eliminate that? And again, I know a 2-month of a conference schedule, a grueling conference schedule, you know, and you win that league like what Houston just did, going 19-1 in the Big 12. Lord have mercy. How hard is that? So, yes, they are the conference champion. Are they going to get into the NCAA tournament? Yes. But don't take the conference tournament away. If you want to, the automatic bid, it just means something. It just means so. Like, we don't get NC State last year without conference tournaments. We don't get that. And how special was that to watch that run of them going to the Final Four, upsetting team after team after team? And you want to talk about grueling? Let's talk about grueling. Winning 5 games in 5 straight days. That's grueling. That's what NC State had to do to even qualify to go to the NCAA tournament. So you can talk about the 2-month conference schedule, and I'm not saying that's not grueling. But you ask a college athlete, what's more grueling? Playing 5 games in do-or-die situations, not only mentally and physically having to do that, or playing 2 months where you get days off. Just go ask 5 of them and see what the answer would be. I mean, it's tough, and they did it. And then they went on and won 4 more games to end up in the Final Four. So just keep that in mind. Look, March Madness, these conference tournaments are every bit of March Madness, people. You can't take that away. You can't take it away. Number one, they're not going to take it away because of the money. But if you don't want to get into that aspect of it, just talk about the tradition, what it looks like, the joy, the excitement of it all. For me, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's just, the talking about, well, you should just give it to the regular season champ. And if you want to do that, that's fine. That's fine. But we talk about how much we don't like NIL. And we talk about how much we don't like, the transfer portal. It's ruining college athletics, yada, yada, all that nonsense. Okay. Well, what do you think would ruin it even more? Taking away the conference tournaments on the NCAA to get an automatic bid? You think taking that away, if we want to talk about tradition, and I don't want to hear about the Big 12's tradition about how they used to have some holiday tournament. Nobody cares about that, man. That was 50, 60 years ago. Nobody's interested in that. Things change. This isn't something that needs to change. You change things when something might be broken or you can make it better. Tell me how you're making it better by getting rid of a conference championship. And if you can come up with an argument, I'll listen. I don't want a whole bunch of analytical nonsense. I just want, how is it better if you eliminate a conference tournament? Just tell me that. That's it. Otherwise, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to listen to a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. You're not going to convince me of that. And I don't even want to listen to it. I just tell me how it's going to be better, because it isn't. It's just not. Sometimes things are just fine. You may not like it, and I get that. There's plenty of things that I don't like, but just because I don't like it doesn't mean it needs to change. And that's the difference, people. Conference tournaments are just as much as March Madness as the NCAA tournament. It's not going anywhere. It doesn't need to go anywhere. And if you don't like it, I would say you need to learn to love it, because it's not changing. It's just not. Period. End of story. And I love it. My favorite time of year, people. My favorite time of year. Like I said, outside of the NFL playoffs, is my favorite time of year. I love it. Well, we got that. I appreciate that. You guys sticking and let me go on my little rant there. Let's talk about the Big 12 tournament this year and who I think is going to win. Now, look, I am not the most technical guy, but I came up with this little graph here. Now, I know you guys probably can't see this, and I get it. I did the best that I could. I looked for graphs all over the place, and this was literally the best one that I could come up with. So I apologize if it's too small to read, which it's too small for me to see. But I'm going to break down each game and tell you who I think is going to win and who is going to win in the end, starting with today's games. First off, Cincy at Oklahoma State. I think Cincinnati has quit. Their head coach has called them out for quitting. They showed that the last 2 games that they've played, Cincinnati has told you that they have quit. So I'll give me Oklahoma State in this basketball game. I don't think Cincinnati even wants to be in the Big 12 tournament. I think they're done, and I think Oklahoma State wants to keep fighting. And they just played, and I think Oklahoma State beats them again. Next up, Colorado at TCU. Again, 2 teams that just played. Didn't look like TCU was that interested in going to Colorado, but TCU is up and down. I think TCU ends up getting Colorado in this game. I just think TCU is going to put forth a little bit more effort. Their coach is not going to stand for the last time they were out on the court. So I think they're going to put forth a little effort and win this game today. Today. Arizona State at K-State. This is the game of whoever comes out and plays the toughest 8 minutes, the first 8 minutes of the game, is going to win. Whoever does that is going to win the game, because what I believe is the team that comes out the toughest in the first 8 minutes, the other team is going to quit, because neither team has any aspirations of playing in any type of postseason basketball. That's not happening. So what I believe, K-State will have a little bit more of a crowd there, and I think K-State gets it. I think they come out with a little bit more effort first 8 minutes, and they end up winning this basketball game. UFC at Utah. I like Utah. I think Utah, the mention of getting a new coach. Again, teams that just played, but I think they're coming into a new conference tournament. They're like, you know what? Maybe we want to stick around for a while. And I think they go out and get this win over UCF. Going to the next round. Starting at the top, Oklahoma State at Iowa State. I think Iowa State's the better team. I think they're going to get Keyshawn Gilbert back, and they're going to be rolling. TCU over West Virginia. Tough game. I think this will come down to the wire, but I think West Virginia gets it, because I think West Virginia needs to get the win. Like I said, I think they're in the tournament. They've been up and down. They're going to make it, but if they lose this game, it's going to be, they're going to be on the bubble. It's going to be tricky on Selection Sunday. I don't think West Virginia wants to chance it, and I think they end up winning that basketball game. KSU at Baylor. Baylor, so inconsistent. But I think they get it together. Like I said, K-State can win the game. There's no doubt in my mind that K-State can win this game. I just think the talent of Baylor will rule the day, and Baylor will end up getting that win. And then Utah and KU. KU is better. They're not going to have a good taste in their mouth about the last time that they played Utah, where Utah just whipped them. And I think KU comes out and wins this basketball game. Going to the next day, Iowa State at against BYU. I shouldn't say at BYU. It's going to be more like BYU at Iowa State. Like I mentioned to you guys before, you haven't been to a Big 12 tournament and you think it's just a KU invitational, show up when Iowa State plays. Just show up and tell me whether you think that it's a KU invitational. I'm telling you that right now. That is not the case. And because of that, I think Iowa State wins this basketball game. I love BYU. I love what they've been doing. I just think Iowa State takes this, and not that BYU doesn't take the game seriously or the tournament seriously. I think Iowa State, I think it's in their DNA. I think this tournament is literally in that school's DNA to go win it. And because of that, I think they win that tough game. I really do. West Virginia against Houston. Houston's better. Houston's going to beat West Virginia. Not a whole lot to talk about there. Baylor at Tech. Y'all know how much I like Tech. I've said it from day one that I like Tech. Tech will beat Baylor. They're better than Baylor. Baylor's so inconsistent. Tech's on a mission, I believe. Tech is on a mission, so I have Tech. KU and Arizona. We just saw this game. Give me KU again. Give me KU again. It's just something about Arizona. I don't like the way they're playing basketball. I just don't like it. I know they're talented. I know they're extremely well coached. They are. I just don't like how they're playing basketball right at this moment. That'll change next week, especially when I see the matchups in the NCAA tournament. I like Arizona in that. In this particular matchup, though, I like KU. Moving on. Iowa State and Houston. Now, here's the first upset. Like I just mentioned to you, Iowa State takes this thing personal, I think, as far as this tournament. And I think Iowa State beats Houston in the semifinals of the Big 12. A lot of Houston fans are not going to be mad about that. They're okay with Houston saying, you know what? We won the conference. If you win the tournament, fine. Let's get rested up and healed up for the NCAA so we can get to the Final Four. A lot of Houston fans have gotten in the comments and said stuff like that. I don't know that your coach believes that, but It's not a horrible thing. It's not a horrible thing. But I got Iowa State moving on, and then Tech over KU. Tech is just better than KU. They just are. You know, I don't know how many Tech fans are going to be at the game. There'll be a ton of KU fans there, but they just played in Allen Fieldhouse. I mean, if there were 100 Tech fans at that game, there weren't 101, and they just went into Allen Fieldhouse and won. This is not going to be any different. Tech will be fine. They will win this basketball game. And then in the finals, I have Texas Tech cutting down the nets of the Big 12 2025 tournament. They are going to be the winners. I've told you all along how much I like this team. I think they're rolling. I think they've got it together. I can't wait to see their matchups and where they get seated in the NCAA tournament. A lot of teams in the Big 12, I want to see their matchups because I've mentioned to you before what I think what's going to happen on the second weekend. I think the Big 12 is going to be the team that's standing. I think we're going to have at least 4 teams. Again, it's going to depend on matchups, but we're going to have at least 4 teams on that second weekend. I really do. And Tech obviously is one of those teams. We'll look at the others. I think Houston and Iowa State as well, probably BYU. We'll go from there, and maybe even Arizona. I just got to see Arizona's matchup. I got to see Arizona's matchups. But other than that, I love this league. I love this tournament. And like I mentioned, if you're having reservations about it, it's in Kansas City, it's not that big a deal, it's not that big a city, just go. Just one time, just say, you know what? We're going to listen to Big B. We don't listen to anything that he says, but we're going to listen this one time, but we're going to go and see what this thing is all about, that people keep raving about, that we have to go to Kansas City to be part of this tournament. Why the hell do we need to do that? Just go do that, and then we'll see what happens. So I appreciate everybody, man. Thank you guys for bearing with me. Like I said, I'm getting better. I'm about 65 to 70%. So I appreciate you guys sticking it out with me. I promise I'm going to the doctor right after I upload this. So hopefully here in the near future, I'll start sounding and feeling even better and get back to my normal self. But I'm excited. College basketball, I'm going to be watching all day today, man. Going to be watching all day today. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And I will talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.